joining me for this presentation. I'm Rowena Owen, and I'm the Commercial Operations Director here at Mulberry Cottages, and I will be talking you through ways of maximising your income from holiday letting. So let's get started. There are 6 ways in which I'd like to discuss today of increasing your margin. And first of all, it's looking at the first impressions. And those first impressions are the almighty ones online. So you've produced the most beautiful property, you've spent lots of money, you've taken time, and now it's about putting the property online and getting those first interested customers over to the site and then through to booking. Those added extras are number 2. Now, added extras can be things that you can add to the property, but they can also be things that you can do additionally in order to help convert bookings and for repeat bookings. 3, we're going to look at instant booking. This is a buzzword in holiday letting, and I will talk to you more about that shortly. Maximising key dates. Now, this is to do with getting your pricing right and making sure that you're charging the right amount, often higher amounts at peak times, usually weekends. Don't be afraid to discount as number 5. Now, this is to do with getting premium pricing, but also not leaving your pricing for too long. And lastly, to be prepared for getting ahead of your bookings, looking to the next years and onwards. So firstly, first impressions. Now, I come back each time to these 3 key points on first impressions, which is presentation, photography, and the story. Now, this is inside every part of how you've created your holiday let. So when you've built your property and you've looked at the marketplace and who you want to aim at, you'll be styling the house in a particular way, whether it be for families, for adults, for pet-friendly lovers, to coastal retreats. So you'll be designing an idea with your decor before you've even begun. So when you're presenting this online, you need to be thinking about photography and the storyline that connects you to the product that you've created. Not always is this easy to do, and it's not always the first idea that you had at the beginning, and it may evolve. So you need to re-look at your first impressions regularly whilst running your holiday let. Now I'm going to give you an example here on the next slide, which is how to do that first small search box and how to get that right. So when you do a search online and a customer's looking and they put in a search variable and a date, and then they ping back a list, it's normally maybe 8 to 20 listings that will appear. We'll find a small photograph and a little bit of description. Now, this is the first time that people are going to see your property, and it is a thumbnail-sized photograph. It's very small. Often people will be using their mobiles or an iPad. And so at this point, the best way to capture that attention is in the photography. So things like using wide lenses, bright rooms, and the key capture shot, so the one that's going to tell the story as much as possible in that single image, is the one that you need to choose. There's also a little bit of a tagline that also you get to decide on how you write it to try and pick up some interest as well. Now I'm going to show you now an example of how it's not done exactly right, and that is a listing that I found online when I wanted to go to London. And so this is it here. And obviously you can see in this image what the key problem may be, being the open toilet seat there. We would never usually suggest that you use a bathroom shot, so not a toilet shot, for your lead image. I can see why this person did this. They wanted to show the shard is available in every room, and I can quite clearly see it there, but I'm kind of on my mobile phone. This is tiny, this is not really attractive, and I might ping forwards on and look at some other houses at this point. The other thing to note on here is the tagline that you can see there that says LG 48.9 and some words. This is clearly an agent that's put a reference number in. It's a little bit of a waste of space, to be honest, because I've already done the search and I know there's 2 people going and I'm looking for London, and then it's repeating it here, telling me it's a studio. Large studio is fine, but repeating studio again for 2 people in London is a real waste of my marketing space and should be used better. There's also a little bit of a gap between apartments and bedrooms in the 3.7 kilometres there on that image, and that's free text space. And this is a leading portal, so you can actually get quite a lot in here, to capture people's attention. So again, the best photograph is presenting what it was, the story of the property, to capture interest at this stage. Now, I will show you now an example of how you can do this differently. And this is from the Mulberry Cottages website. This would be a similar listing version, so a thumbnail size image with a description. Now, here we've used a bathroom, quite a different bathroom shot. As I said before, we would never usually use one, but this photograph told a really clear story. It tells one of romance, of textures, of luxury of an offering, and this is a shepherd's hut. Now, if I put a shepherd's hut image up on this section of the site, people might jump past it. They might think, oh no, this is not for me, because I wasn't expecting it to be quite so luxurious. And so we felt it was really important to show this, because this is a premium property, it's for a couple, it's romantic, and it says that all in this one photograph. And the tagline that we've used has not repeated anything. It's simply saying really that this is a shepherd's hut that is glamping redefined. And that says it all in a word, and helps people get a picture of what they can expect when they move further forward and to look at the property. So taking this one step further, so I'm now about to click into the property. I've looked at this and I think this is capturing my attention, and now I want to know a bit more. I want to see all the photos, I want to read the whole story, I want to look at the amenities and all the details. So I'm going to tell you a bit of a story of in my early years at Mulberry. So I've been at Mulberry about 6 years, and I brought houses on as a property manager. And one of my first projects was to work on this little property in the coastal area of St Margaret's Bay in Kent. And the owner was saying to us at the time that they needed some more bookings. They were doing okay in the summer, but they weren't doing so great outside of the season. So I'd never been, so I thought before I set foot into the house, I'm going to have a little look at the online presentation and see what story is coming out to me and what I think about it as a user. So these are the photographs that I looked at, and first of all I thought, oh okay, so there's that bedroom there with the sofa bed is actually the third bedroom in the 3-bedroom cottage. And I thought, well, that doesn't look the most comfortable, inviting bed, so maybe I need to be looking at making this into a proper bed and presenting it so people can see how the room will be laid up. I looked at the sitting room picture with a rather dark sofa, and it was taking away the attention of the room and the light, and maybe that would need to be altered. Maybe there should be some change of furniture. Maybe that would be one of the answers. The bedroom looked very sweet, and the bed is well made, and I can see that it's quite cute. Looking at the view shot of the balcony, yes, I can see the sea, that's lovely, it's very green, but my eyes are kind of drawn a little bit to the satellite dish, and it's not really quite bright and colourful, it's quite short, I can't quite see the full story here. And so I thought, okay, let's speak to the owner about doing a little bit of changing the furniture and maybe redoing the photographs. The owner was very quick to point out that this house had been recently refurbished and budget was limited. So I needed to work in a different way in order to see if I could get some more business into the property, which was fair enough. So I thought, okay, so this must be a family market, surely, because it's a 3-bedroom cottage, it's down by the seaside. So I had a look at the data and the stats of bookings. We've been running this house a couple of years, and to my surprise, I discovered that 75% of the guests that were staying were actually couples, and only one of the bedrooms was ever being used at the time. So this gave me a real thought that I don't need to redo their 3rd bedroom to put a single bed in, because in most cases this is a couple's house. It's not the market we thought it would be. And so we decided to look at doing the photography in a different way and the descriptions in a different way. Now, the descriptions, keywords at the time I first looked at this property were these words: picturesque village in St Margaret's Bay, it's a treat for the family, there's a retro twist, views of the White Cliffs, and so forth. But I'd already worked out that regardless of this storyline and it touching on certain things in the house and who the market they believed it would be, couples were actually the ones that were staying. And all the really wonderful reviews were all stories about couples staying and the views and the walks and the light and the terraces. And so when I actually got to visit the house and I stepped through the door, I realised immediately what those reviews were talking about. They were talking about romance from the word go. I felt the light, the space was wonderful. The furniture didn't need changing. It just needed rephotographing. and redescribing. So we changed the way the house was described and instead now used a tagline of romantic pretty cottage with cliff-top views, which is now used with a new image, which I'll show you next. And we talked about the key selling points, the open fire, the large south-facing terraces and all the light and the views. And the photographs we've changed are here, and you can see that this gave us a 30% income growth pretty much immediately from these changes. The top left image is now our lead screenshot, and showing it really clearly on a bright sunny day where the couples lay up there. We changed the room round, so photographed across the table through to the windows, so it's all really light and pretty. And we used a setting of a review. So down in the bottom right there was a couple had described a romantic afternoon on the beach where a proposal happened. And so we thought we would photograph a kind of feel to get that across to guests. And this worked exceptionally well. And I had a very happy owner at the end of this. So moving on. So we're going to have a look at added extras. Now, there are a few extras here that we know will always add extra value, extra premiums, extra bookings, but we're concentrating more on what will happen to help us in the outer season, so beyond the summer. If we're priced correctly, the 12 weeks of the year that the high seasons fall into are relatively easy to achieve, but it's those other nights, the other 280 nights, that often need the added push and incentives to get the maximum income. So one of the top ones is pets, pet-friendly market. It's a huge market. A third of our travellers would say that they'd like to bring pets along. It's a market that's growing. People are more discerning where they want to stay, and they want to bring their pets along. They're part of the family. You can charge an extra £20 per stay. It's a small amount, but it does add up. But it's more about increasing those bookings, and particularly out of season when couples, older generation couples travel, they will be bringing their beloved pets. So it's a market that you should really consider. The next one is a hot tub. Now, for those of you, some people can add hot tubs and some can't, depends if you've got the space. And there are two ways of doing this. This picture shows a house that joined us in 2012, and it was always a house that we had envisaged would be benefiting from a hot tub. And they added it about 18 months ago. And along with a lot of other properties where we see this happen, is that we saw a rise in bookings by up to 20%, and prices are increased by at least 15%. And there are two ways of doing it. It can be a markup, so it's a fixed price, and so it's always available for all bookings, or it can be an add-on, so that guests can choose whether to add it on or not. And this particular property that benefits from 20% increase has it as an option, and over 50% of the time bookings are taking that option. So it's not always used, which is an interesting point to make, that there are flexibility on how you do this, that we can help certainly owners to understand, but this is a key point to earning back on hot tubs. And within about a year and a half, on average, the average size property, adding these will find they will have a return on their investment, and then it's extra profits all the way. Concierge. Now, added extras, this leads us into concierge, because concierge is something that's on the way forwards. The marketplace in the last 10 years more had moved towards the do-it-yourself holiday market. So customers would be looking up their flights and booking their trains and a car hire, and they would do their hotel or their self-catering, and they'd organise it all themselves, so that they got the best deal and had control and could build a package of their own. They got very independent. Time has moved on a little bit further since then, and people are less time rich, and they're actually a lot more that are moving towards this bundling and having more of a package, or at least someone that they know can actually do the work for them. So it's allowing them to trust a company or a brand that will get everything together in one place. So Mulberry Cottages reacted to this about 18 months ago, and we brought forward our concierge and extras team. Now, they specialise in everything from little to big flowers or cakes brought into the property, or some champagne, but through to the bigger things like hiring in chefs, catering, hot tubs hire so they can be brought in, having laundry done, hiring equipment. And so it's not just what Mulberry Cottages or other brands can do for your properties, because notably we'd be selling those in, but you can do them yourself, because if you're maximising your income in your accommodation, you're at your max prices, you have good repeat bookings, that one of the ways in order to increase your return is to look at what your customers would want in addition when they come to stay. There are going to be some practicalities to consider, but you can work with that either with your housekeeper, do the extra laundry. Maybe there's a local farm that's doing clay pigeon shooting, and you can arrange a deal with them and get some small kickbacks. It's really worth looking at, and it's something you can offer after sale of the accommodation as add-ons. Instant booking. Now, instant booking is simply having prices available and your calendar live at all times online. It makes life easier for everybody, be the owner, be the guest. Gone are the days when guests were happy to wait 7 days to hear back on their inquiry for if they can get their holiday house. People want it instantly. They want to sit on the sofa with their iPad and choose where they want to stay, book and go, and receive an automatic confirmation to say that it's booked, so they can move on to perhaps book their train tickets. So why doesn't everyone do this? Well, they should be doing this, because we've already tracked that it's 10 times more income from those who do than those who don't, and it's moving that way. So you need to be trying to ensure that you're covering things like making sure that the calendar is updated, and if you can't because you're balancing across several sites, then either get yourself a booking engine, which can do that for you. We can make recommendations for you, or work with an agency such as Mulberry Cottages, who have channel management, which is where we will manage your calendar for you across multiple sites. So we can do that as a selection as well. So maximising your income, this slide here. This is all about margins, and this is about playing to your strengths, making sure you do short breaks, and you add weekend premiums. Now here's a slide that talks it through, and I'll go from left to right here. So one of the mistakes that a lot of people do on portal sites, where they do self-advertising, is they think, well, my rate's £100 a night, so for a week I'm £700, and so for 2 nights I'm £200. Now, this doesn't work in holiday letting, because holiday letting does carry a higher premium than at weekends than most breaks. And if you're a 2-3 bedroom going up, it's more about a group experience or a small family experience than compared to a hotel. And even when compared to a hotel, you'll find that the premiums at the weekend are exceptionally higher. So in the blue there, you can see what Mulberry Cottages would be charging for a house that would be worth £700 in a week in the season. We would be charging at £225 for a 2-night break per night, and that gives £450. So that is quite a lot higher. That's 2.5 times the rate that you may expect. Now, surely getting a week-long stay would be better than a 2-night stay still in this example because of the margin. However, because out of high season, weekends are predominantly the demand, by not offering them and making them available or leaving it too late to open them means that you could strip out up to 50% of your market. What is more advantageous is to, when you get a 2-night stay, is to stagger additional charges for 3, 4, 5 nights, but not as much as, say, £225. Maybe at this stage add £100 increments, and then that adds to your margin without increasing any of your costs, because your cleaning charges and commissions that you'd pay would already be covered. Strategic pricing. Now, strategic pricing is another buzzword, and simply speaking, this is about not keeping your pricing static. So when you set your pricing up at the beginning of the year, and you think of your 5 seasons, including the Christmas period, and you're thinking about your weekends and midweek breaks, don't see them set in stone. You must look at them at least every quarter, if not a bit more frequently, to see what's going on. Once you've been trading for more than a year, you can compare where was I booking, what was my lead time. Your lead time is the date of book to your average arrival date, so there's a difference between those two. And dependent on the size of your property, they may be as low as 20-day lead time up to 160 if you're at the larger properties. But you'll start to get a feel for it and how the market changes. So if you arrive in January when there's a peak booking period for the year and you've already booked 50% of your summer, the chances are that pricing is too low, and vice versa if you haven't received at least 30% of your arrivals. And this is something that Mulberry Cottages were particularly good at managing with our owners team and can assist you with. But the learning point from here is do make sure you review regularly. 2020. Now this is getting ahead. We are now in 2019 and our pricing, 2018 even, we have our pricing set it for 2019 and we're shortly about to open 2020 for our larger houses. And by the time we reach February, March in 2019, we will have all of our stock open. Now, whether you're watching this in a year's time, the idea is always look ahead, at least 18 months to 2 years. And the larger your property, the more occupancy you have, the farther ahead you need to look. It seems madness to not offer bookings ahead because that's bookings taken now, the deposits paid now and income now. And by the time you get within 6-8 months of those arrival dates, you will be feeling more comfortable again to be able to raise your prices in order to complete your occupancy and thus gain the maximum margin. So in summary, presentation sells. You need to get it right from the start in order to get those click-throughs. Those added extras, they do add up and they can help you with your margin. And don't be surprised if it's the smaller things like added flowers and treats and gifts within the property that can add an extra £5–10 for each booking. Instant booking. Instant booking is the way forwards, and those that don't follow this will find themselves left behind from those that do. Play to your strengths. Always look at your market, look at where you're strongest. If you're leading on short breaks, then raise your short breaks and work with them and don't rely too much on the weekly stays. And squeeze those margins. So always look at the added prices, always think about the extra offers. If someone's staying for 2 nights, add on an extra night for the third, give them a call and add it on, and don't be frightened to push a little bit more because people will actually appreciate the offer for an extra stay and extra services. And that's it from me today, and good luck with your holiday lets. Thank you very much.